Okay, I want you to close your eyes for a second. Seriously, humor me. Picture yourself on the deck of a huge high-rise project.
Yeah.
It's sunrise early. The city is just waking up. There's maybe a little fog rolling off the river, and the light is hitting that steel structure in a perfect golden way. You can smell the curing concrete, the Weldon fumes. It is an epic scene. It's one of those moments that makes you remember why people fall in love with construction. But there is a massive glaring problem with this picture.
It's not the view.
No.
It's that you're probably the only one who's seeing it.
That's exactly it. You have this crew doing this exceptional, really complex work. Literally wrestling a skyline into existence from a hole in the ground. But the second you step outside the fence line,
Complete invisibility.
and that silence, well, it's expensive. That's the core tension we are really unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into this really compelling four-part series from the Construction Channel.
And the argument they're making is pretty provocative. They're basically saying that just building good work is, well, it's no longer enough to sustain a business.
So if firms want to survive in this, super noisy digital first world, they have to stop just building structures.
You'd start building narratives.
Which, at first glance, that can sound a little bit like marketing fluff, like, oh, let's all tell stories.
Sure.
But what really grabbed me about this research is that they aren't talking about storytelling in the way you'd sell, I don't know, yogurt or sneakers. They're talking about high-stakes, multi-million-dollar business assets.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
We're talking about winning bids and, maybe even more critically, winning the war for talent.
The stakes are incredibly high.
They are. But there's a nuance here that's really important to get right at the start. The source material is, it's a manifesto for taking media seriously, but the advice isn't. Go hire 20 videographers and turn your company into a film studio.
Which is a relief, because I don't know a lot of project managers who want to start worrying about aperture settings while they're coordinating a concrete pour.
Precisely. The mantra that comes from the source is, don't become a media company, plug one in.
Plug one in.
It's about recognizing that media production is a trade. It's just like electrical or plumbing or glazing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't ask your HR manager to go install the HVAC system just because they're handy, right?
Of course not.
So why ask them to produce a high-end documentary about your company culture?
Okay, so let's dig into the why then before we even get to the how. The series opens with this idea of a narrative vacuum. And it's a bit of an uncomfortable truth.
It really is. It's this idea that silence isn't neutral. In physics, nature abhors a vacuum.
Right.
Well, the market abhors a narrative vacuum. If you aren't telling the story of your projects and your people, it's not that there's just no story.
It's that someone else will fill that silence for you.
Exactly. Competitors fill that space. Or outdated stereotypes about the industry fill that space. Just think about all the battlefronts a modern firm is fighting on.
Well, you're bidding on projects where the margins are razor thin.
You're trying to impress really sophisticated owners. You're desperate for the next generation of talent, which we all know is a massive crisis.
And you're trying to do all of this in an attention economy that is just, it's completely crowded.
And that's where the competency trap comes in, which the source talks about. A lot of firms think, well, we build billion-dollar hospitals. Surely we can figure out Instagram.
Right. It can't be that hard.
That's the trap. They feel this pressure to become a digital agency just to keep up. But the source argues that's a total waste of resources. The goal isn't to change who you are. The goal is to find a partner.
A specialist.
A specialist, like the Construction Channel they mentioned, who can come in and turn the work you are already doing into a real business asset.
Okay, let's break down those assets. The series categorizes them in a way I hadn't really thought about before. The first one is project storytelling. And they identify this pathology in the industry they call the final photo syndrome.
Oh, we see this all the time. A firm spends, say, 3 years on a project. They battle through supply chain nightmares. They engineer these incredible solutions. They coordinate hundreds of trades. It's a miracle of logistics.
And then what happens?
At the very end, they hire a photographer to take 5 pretty pictures of the empty lobby and the building at sunset.
And they post it on LinkedIn, proud to hand over this amazing project.
And that's it. And the source argues you have just torched 99% of the value. By waiting for the final photo, you have completely erased the journey.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here. The building is the product, isn't it? Why does a potential client care about all the mud and the chaos?
Because the client isn't just buying that one building. They're buying the certainty that you can deliver the next one. The final photo shows what you built. Documenting the journey shows how you work. Let's say you had a massive logistical challenge. Maybe a blind crane pick downtown where you had to shut down 3 city
These
blocks.
are high stakes, high pressure.
If you capture that, the planning meetings, the safety briefing, the tension, the execution, that is proof of competence. It tells a sophisticated owner, we solve impossible problems.
A photo of a lobby doesn't tell me if you solved problems.
Or if you just got lucky.
That's a great distinction. It's like the difference between seeing a finished gourmet meal and watching the chef actually cook it. One's a product, the other is a demonstration of skill.
And there's an internal ROI to that too. It's a huge cultural asset. Think about the team's morale. You have crews out there busting their backs, solving these problems day in and day out.
Yeah.
If that ingenuity is captured and celebrated on screen, it validates their struggle. It creates a legacy. If you only show the ribbon cutting with the executives in suits,
The crew who poured the foundation is basically written out of history.
completely, you're not giving credit where the real sweat equity is.
Right. And speaking of the crew, this transitions us perfectly into what I think is maybe the most urgent part of this whole deep dive, the talent war.
This section of the source material was, it was brutal. It basically declares the traditional job board dead.
They call out those monstrously massive and ineffective employment websites. And we all know the drill. You write a job description that sounds like a legal document, you post it, and you pray.
And that whole strategy is structurally failing. The source points to this massive shift in behavioral psychology. And we're not just talking about Gen Z here, though they are driving it. Even second career candidates are making huge life decisions based on content they see on their phones.
They're not reading bullet points, they're watching videos.
And they're looking for authenticity. This part is crucial. If you use stock footage of some perfectly clean model in a brand new hard hat pointing at a blueprint,
You're actively repelling talent.
they know it's fake. They can smell the corporate polish from a mile away.
So what's the alternative then?
Real people, real stories. Put your actual apprentices on camera, your superintendents, your project engineers, and don't give them a script.
Let them just talk?
Let them talk about their day. Let them talk about the challenges, the wins.
It answers that fundamental question that every applicant has, do I belong here?
Exactly. It's what they call the belonging factor. Pay scales are important, sure, but in a competitive market, people want to know if they can grow somewhere. If a young recruit sees someone who looks like them or started where they are, and that person is thriving, that is infinitely more powerful than a now hiring banner.
The source also touched on using technology as a recruiting hook. And I want to pause on some of the acronyms they use, like VDC and BIM, just to make sure we're on the same page.
Sure. So BIM is building information modeling. That's creating the digital twin of the building before you ever dig a hole. And VDC is virtual design and construction.
That's the simulation part.
Right. These are the teams that simulate the whole construction process to catch clashes, like a pipe hitting a duct, before it costs you time and money in the field.
And for a potential recruit, seeing that stuff signals what?
It signals you're not a dinosaur. If you want to attract tech-savvy talent, you have to show them construction's a high-tech field now. Show them the drones, the laser scanning, the VR walkthroughs.
And this is a big but, you have to show it accurately.
You can't just throw buzzwords around.
Which brings us to the safety component of all this. This is something I really hadn't considered until I read this series. If you go hire a generic wedding videographer to come shoot on your job site,
You are taking on a huge risk, a massive liability. A videographer who doesn't know construction might see a guy walking on a beam and think, oh, wow, that looks so cinematic. Look at that silhouette.
and meanwhile, every superintendent watching that video is just screaming because the guy isn't tied off.
Exactly. A generic media crew, they don't know what an OSHA violation looks like. They don't know that the guy holding a grinder needs a face shield, not just safety glasses.
So if you put out a recruiting video that accidentally features safety violations,
You're not just looking silly. You are signaling to every top-tier candidate out there that your safety culture is a complete sham. You are repelling the very people you want to hire.
it's that uncanny valley for experts. It might look real to a layman, but to a pro, it just feels wrong. It feels dangerous.
And that's why the source really emphasizes partnering with industry insiders, like a construction channel. You need a crew that knows where to stand so they don't get run over by a skid steer, and who actually knows what good looks like on a site.
Okay, let's pivot to the third asset they cover, which I found really eye-opening because of the sheer amount of money involved. Events.
Ah, the fadeaway effect.
Yeah. We've all seen it. A company spends months planning a big conference or an awards gala. They fly everyone in, they rent a ballroom, pay for catering, AV. I mean, we're talking $50,000, $100,000 or more.
And for 48 hours, the energy is just electric. The room is full,
And then everyone flies home.
and the value evaporates.
It's a terrible ROI when you think about it that way.
It is. The source argues that these events are actually content factories just waiting to be harvested. But most firms just treat them as these fleeting moments.
So if you have a media partner there.
One who understands the context? Yes. You can capture enough content in those 2 days to fuel your marketing and recruiting for the entire year.
So it's not just about a highlight reel of people clapping.
No, think bigger. If you have all your best clients in one room, set up a small studio in the hallway, get testimonials, do man on the street interviews about industry trends. If you're an association, interview your members. Give them the content to share.
So you're not just hosting a party, you're providing business development assets for your members.
You're extending the life cycle of that spend from 2 days to 12 months.
That makes so much sense. It turns a memory into a marketing engine. But again, I'm guessing logistics matter here.
Oh, absolutely. You need a plan. And you need a team that can work fast and professionally so they aren't disrupting the event itself.
Okay, so we've covered projects, recruiting, and events. But there's this fourth pillar that really ties it all together, and it circles right back to that safety point we made. The source calls it the pretty but wrong trap.
This is the real aha moment for a lot of executives who've, been burned by this before.
We've all seen those slick corporate videos, the slow motion, the dramatic music, drone shots sweeping over the city. They look beautiful.
They look like a car commercial, but they're hollow. Or even worse, they're just inaccurate. The source uses this term, construction channel design, and the idea is that your media partner needs to be BIM fluent.
BIM fluent. I like that. What does that mean in practice for, like, a video editor?
It means the people planning the shoot, filming the work, and sitting in the edit bay actually understand the building process. They know the proper sequence of construction.
So they're not going to show the roof going on before the steel is topped out.
Exactly. Or they won't mislabel a complex mechanical system. Imagine you're a hospital administrator and you're hiring a firm for a new wing. You watch their promo video and they've got the HVAC system labeled incorrectly, or the sequence they show is physically impossible.
You immediately lose all trust.
You think, if they can't even get the video right, how are they going to manage my $50 million OSHPD project? In this industry, your audience is usually an expert.
Right.
If you try to fake it with pretty shots that lack technical accuracy, you are insulting their intelligence.
You know, we started this whole thing by saying, don't become a media company. And listening to all this, the safety checks, the technical accuracy, the storytelling strategy, it really just reinforces why that's such critical advice.
It's about specialized expertise.
Mm-hmm.
You hire a glazer to do the glass. You hire a media partner who knows construction to do the story.
So if I'm listening to this, maybe I run a mid-sized general contractor, or I'm a marketing director who's just feeling overwhelmed by all this, where do I even start? This sounds like a massive undertaking.
The source is actually very grounding here. They don't say, do everything at once. They say start with a pilot program.
Just one thing.
Just one.
Yeah.
Pick one flagship project that's really challenging and document it properly. Or pick one great recruiting story. Find that one superintendent who's been with you for 20 years, who has an amazing journey, and just tell their story.
Or that one annual event.
Or take that one annual safety summit and decide, this year, we're going to film it to create training modules for next year.
Use it as a proof of concept.
Exactly. Use that one pilot to go to leadership and show them the ROI. Show them, look, we spent X on this video, and it's been viewed by 5,000 potential recruits, versus the 0 people who even read our job board post.
It's about shifting that mindset from expense to investment.
And remember the final summary from the source. Your projects are already remarkable. You're not a software company trying to make lines of code look sexy. You're literally moving Earth and building skylines.
The drama is already there. The heroism is there.
You don't have to invent a story.
You just have to reveal it.
You just need a partner who knows how to hold up the mirror and frame it the right way.
That's a powerful place to land. It kind of takes the pressure off. You don't have to be interesting. You just have to be willing to show the incredible work you're already doing.
Precisely.
I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on as you head back to the job site or the office. We talked about that sunrise view at the beginning, the one that only the crew ever gets to see. We often take a lot of pride in construction being the silent industry, the strong, silent type. We just get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you to ask yourself, In a world that is now digital first, where value is almost entirely perceived through what we see on our screens, if your most complex, most brilliant work happens in total silence, does it actually hold the value it deserves?
That is the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it?
Or is your best work currently invisible to the very people who matter most? Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.